Good morning, good morning. Which,
What do you want?
good morning, South Annex.
You ready?
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Judge Lal, and we are going, excuse me, just one second. Oh, that's better. Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Judge Lal, and we're going to commence with our state all-purpose calendar for today, June 2nd, 2022. These are cases in which individuals have been arrested and booked and have already been formally accused with one or more misdemeanor offense. If you are a defendant who's been accused of such a case, such an offense, please remember that you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say during the course of these proceedings, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and one of our counsel from the Public Defense Office or the Conflict Defense Office will be representing you. I'm going to begin with South Annex, and who do we have first?
Your Honor, can we go to 4 North first? Since it looks like you might just have one.
You want me to go to a different location? Okay, I'm going to go to 4
4
North.
And then
Yes.
come back to South Annex.
Will do. All right.
Thank you.
Deputy, yes, good morning. Who do we have at 4 North?
I don't have his position number. I apologize. I have
No
Mr.
problem. Name?
Mr. Ragland.
Ragland, okay.
And Judge, that's a negotiated plea.
All right, thank you, Ms. Helen. I have, so this is position 17 on our calendar. Mr. Cajon Isael Ragland, case number 22 CR 003253F. Mr. Ragland, you've been advised of your right to remain silent. Your counsel is going to be Ms. Catrice Helen. Mr. Ragland has been accused of simple battery, domestic violence, and obstruction of a law enforcement officer from an alleged incident on August 19, 2020 in Fulton County, Georgia. This is going to be a negotiated plea. So, Mr. Ragland, I'm first going to hear from the prosecutor, then I'm going to hear from your attorney, and then I'm going to ask you some questions to make sure that whatever plea you enter, it's being done so willingly, knowingly, and voluntarily. May I place you under oath? The other right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the information you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. All right. Prosecutor, Mr. Walker, Ms. Sowry, good morning.
Good morning, Judge. The
Yes.
state recommendation is 12 months to serve 231 days, credit for time served 231, balance probated, an 8-week anger management course, no contact with the victim, whose name is Vollie, that's Vollie, last name Ragland, and a stay away from the incident location, 4340 Bakers Ferry Road, Southwestern Atlanta. Nothing further.
Thank you. Ms. Helen?
Yes, Your Honor, that is our understanding of the plea. We do stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID.
All right, thank you.
Is that for both charges?
Yeah, and I'm just going to confirm, Ms. Sowry, this is a concurrent sentence for both charges?
That's correct, Your Honor. And also the victim is on the Zoom call.
Okay, and we're suspending any fines, is that correct?
That's correct.
All right.
No fines.
All right. I do see Ms. Vollie Ragland on the Zoom call. Ms. Ragland, good morning. My name is Judge Lal. Did you want to address the court?
Yes, ma'am. How you doing, Judge?
Fine, thank you. Hope you're doing good too.
Oh, I'm barely made it. I've made it though.
All
But I'm
right.
still here.
Ms. Ragland, we are addressing Cajon's sentencing. And he is based on what his attorney, Ms. Helen, and the prosecutor have decided is that he has already served 231 days for the incident involving you back in August of 2020. He'll be released and placed on probation to complete an anger management program. While he's on probation, he cannot have any communication or contact with you, and he cannot return to the Bakers Ferry Road. Do you have any comment?
No, ma'am.
All right. Do you have any objection to this sentence?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right. If you have nothing else to add, I will proceed with my case. Is that all right?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Ragland. Thank you. All right, Mr. Ragland, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No, ma'am.
Have you understood the proceedings so far?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you satisfied with the representation of your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, you have been in jail for a significant period of time, and once you are released, you will be placed immediately on probation to complete an 8-week anger management program. I'm going to require you to enroll in that 8-week anger management program within 30 days of being released. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
And also within 30 days of being released, you need to make sure you update the court with your new residential address.
Okay.
Because you cannot return to Bali Ragland's location. You cannot return to the Baker's Ferry location. If you go back there, you will be arrested again.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
And Your Honor, I'm sorry. It does appear that he may have a felony hold that's going to hold him. So I just wanted to bring that up.
Miss Helen, is that correct?
I did see a felony hold. If we could get pretrial services to read his history.
Who do we have from
He
pretrial?
does have an open case for aggravated battery, 2 counts, and obstruction. He only has the 2 arrests. So if it's something holding him, it's that open aggravated battery case.
Do you have the case number, Ms. Bostic?
No, but I can look it up. Give me just a second.
21 CP
21 CP
203
203
818.
818. Okay. All right. So, Mr. Ragland, it appears that you do have another open case, 21 CP 203 818. Now, if you've already bonded out on that case, immediately after being bonded out, then you would have to begin your sentencing for this case. Is that your understanding?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, if you decide to take this plea, you would have to give up your constitutional rights to challenge this misdemeanor case in a court of law. You would have to give up your right to have the assistance of counsel, to be able to confront your accuser, examine witnesses, present your defenses, have your attorney argue your case before the judge or a jury, and have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, ma'am.
Is anyone forcing you to take a plea today?
No, ma'am.
How do you plead to 1 count of simple battery, domestic violence, and 1 count of obstruction of a law enforcement officer?
Guilty.
Your sentence is going to be 12 months to serve 231 days, credit for time served 231 days. Once you are released from the Fulton County Jail, you will be placed on probation. So you have to report to probation within 48 hours of being released on the very next business day. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
And the probation office will be located at 132 Mitchell Street. It will be on your discharge documents. Once on probation, you'll be required to complete an 8-week anger management program. And at all times, you are not to have any contact with Bali Ragland. You're to stay 200 yards away from her, not communicate with her in any way, form, or manner, not directly, not through a third person, not through any kind of phone or electronic device. And you are to stay 200 yards away from 4340 Bakers Ferry Road in Atlanta, Georgia. Do you understand, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. That concludes your sentence. That concludes this case. Thank you.
Next, we got Mr. King.
Is that at 4 North?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. King.
We have 2 kings. Which king?
Terrell King.
Thank you.
That's position 13, Judge. It's a non-negotiated plea.
All right, thank you. This is State versus Jarrell King, position number 13 on our calendar. His case number is 22 CR 003-127Y. Mr. King, you have a right to remain silent about the facts of the case. Anything you say about the facts, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and representing you is going to be Ms. Catrice Helen. This is going to be a non-negotiated plea hearing, which means, Mr. King, first, the prosecutor is going to give me the recommended sentence and the factual basis for their proposal. And then I'm going to hear an alternative recommendation from your attorney. Based on your pretrial history and the circumstances of the case, I will then decide which recommendation I will accept. I will let you know which recommendation so that you can make a decision as to whether you want to proceed with the plea or not. So, Ms. Sowry, what is the state's recommendation?
Yes, Your Honor. The state's recommendation is 12 months to serve 60 days, credit for time served 15 days, the balance probated, no contact with the victim, and a stay away from the incident location, as well as an FFIB course. Your Honor, the facts of this case is that officers responded to the incident location regarding a domestic dispute. A verbal altercation first occurred after the victim, whose name is Amber Petty. She did not allow the defendant to use her vehicle. The victim entered into her vehicle to prevent the defendant from leaving, and the victim states that's when the defendant struck her in the head multiple times and grabbed her hair, pulling multiple braids out of her head. And according to the victim, she is currently 7 months pregnant by the defendant, and she did not want contact and is afraid of the defendant. He has a 2021 criminal trespass simple battery case that's open in felony court. He was given a $1,500 good bond. It is against the same victim, and there was a no contact order issued. So he essentially had that open felony case, and then he picked up our case, which is clearly a violation of his bond conditions. Nothing further.
Thank you. Ms. Helen?
Yes, Your Honor, this is a non-negotiated plea. When I went and spoke to Mr. King, there are conflicting reports of what happened. I understand the warrant, what it says, but Mr. King stated he did not put any type of hands or any type of violent restraint towards Miss Petty. He was restraining her from a mutual fight. He sustained scratches to his own face, Judge. So that's why we're asking for time served in this case. We do understand that it will be probation, a year probation with those 6 family violence intervention classes. We do understand it'll be a stay away from the Somerset Lane and Miss Petty. However, Judge, she is pregnant with Mr. King's child. We would ask that once that child is born, there be third-party visitation for that child, Judge.
All right. What I don't hear is that he did not violate the no contact provision. And that is the singular fact that is very concerning to me. I'm going to accept the state's recommendation. He was under a court order to have no further contact with the alleged victim, and this subsequent incident indicates a blatant disregard of that. So quite frankly, I'm not even inclined to accept this plea, but I will accept the state's recommendation that 60 days, he'll be given 12 months to serve 60 days. And I'm going to require him to serve 60 actual days, no 2 for 1 credit. He will be given credit for 15 days, which means he has 45 more actual days to serve. Once he served the 45 actual days, he'll be placed on probation to enroll and complete a 6-month domestic violence intervention program, have absolutely no contact with Amber, and to stay away from wherever she happens to be or wherever she happens to live. If he violates no weapons, no firearms, no alcohol, and no illegal drugs, he'll be subject to random screens by probation. And if he violates any of these conditions, probation is authorized to immediately revoke his time and have him arrested and serve out the rest of the time in prison. So, Mr. King.
Mr. King, did you understand what the judge said? She sentenced you to the full 60 days. Is that something you want to accept today?
Yeah.
Your Honor.
Mr. King, I need some acknowledgement from you that you've understood what I've said.
I understand.
Is that something you'd like to consider?
It's my only choice.
The choice is going to trial, and where you have a right to present your defenses and have your attorney assist you in challenging these charges in a court of law.
I don't want to challenge you. I know what I did.
All right. Mr. Jarrell King, and Miss Helen, do you stipulate to the venue and ID?
I do, Your Honor.
Okay, and based on the alleged factual basis of this case, in case number 22 CR 003-127Y, Mr. King, I will need to place you under oath, so your responses will be under oath. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Jarrell King, you've been accused of simple battery with regards to Amber Cody on May 19, 2022. Presently, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently? All right. In a plea hearing, unless you have any kind of special issue, you would need to express your responses verbally, yes or no. And if you don't understand, you need to let me know. So I'm going to ask you again. Have you consumed any alcohol or medication or drugs recently?
No.
Good. And have you understood the proceedings so far?
Yes.
And Ms. Helen has explained to you the terms of a non-negotiated plea hearing, the consequences of giving up your rights, and the consequences of entering such a plea. Have you understood her explanation, and are you satisfied with her representation?
Yes.
And Mr. King, are you entering this plea willingly, voluntarily, and knowingly?
Yes.
And is anyone forcing you or inducing you to take this plea today?
No.
In taking a plea of guilty to this charge, Mr. King, you would have to give up your constitutional rights to challenge this charge in a court of law. You would have to give up your right to an attorney so that you could be in a trial where you would confront your accuser, examine and cross-examine witnesses, present your defenses, confront your accuser, and have the state, the prosecutor, carry its sole burden to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes.
How do you plead to one count of simple battery?
Guilty.
Your sentence is going to be 12 months to serve 60 actual days, no 2-for-1 credit. You'll be given credit for 15 days that you've already been at the Fulton County Jail, which means that you have 45 more actual days to serve at the Fulton County Jail. Once you have completed 45 actual days, you'll be released and placed on probation. You must report to probation within 48 hours to the next business day at 132 Mitchell Street. Do you understand, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Once you report to probation, you'll be placed on their monitoring. You would have to enroll in a domestic violence intervention program at your expense. Within 30 days of being released, you will have no contact with Amber Cody. You will stay 200 yards away from her. You're not to have any contact whatsoever, whether it's in person, directly or indirectly through a phone or an electronic device, through a third party, and through any social media. You're also to stay away from the incident location and wherever she happens to reside or where she works or wherever she happens to be located. I understand that you share one or more children with Ms. Cody. If you would like visitation or custody of any of the children with whom you share with Ms. Cody, you would have to file a legitimation action with the Superior Court of Fulton County and obtain a court order with regards to visitation and custody. Do you understand, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. No weapons, no firearms, no illegal drugs, and no alcohol. You'll be subject to random screens by probation. Do you have any questions about your sentence? Mr. King, I don't know if the screen froze up. Do you have any questions about your sentence? Thank
No.
you.
And Your Honor, I'm sorry, just to clarify, the victim's name is Amber Petty.
Amber Petty, I'm sorry, I wrote Petty.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Position 1 at the South Annex.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, Miss, it looks like you have a few individuals at South Annex. I just want to remind everyone that you have a right to remain silent about the facts of your case. Anything you say about the facts, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and we have attorneys from the public defense and conflict defense offices to represent you. Ms. Kenyatta Yvonne Bishop has been accused of theft of services, criminal trespass, and misdemeanor obstruction of an officer in case 22 CR 003-072J. Ms. Bishop, you've been advised of your right to remain silent. Your attorney is Mr. Finling. And Mr. Finling and Ms. Helen, I do apologize. I do not have your announcement list, so please let me know what the announcement is going to be for each case. What's the announcement for Ms. Bishop?
Yes, Judge, and good morning. Ms. Bishop's going to be a negotiated plea.
All right, thank you. Ms. Bishop, I understand that you're going to be entering a plea to this case, so may I place you under oath?
Yes.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. All right. Mr. Segura, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. Yes, please, sorry.
The state's recommended plea is 12 months to serve 30 days, credit for time served 15 days, balance probated, 50 hours community service, and a stairway from A loft located at 7895 North Point Parkway, Alpharetta. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Finley?
Yes, Judge, that is our understanding of the offer, of which we do agree, and additionally stipulate the factual basis, ID, and venue.
Thank you. And Mr. Segura, this sentence is concurrent to all three charges?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Ms. Bishop, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
Before I went to bed last night,
Okay.
took medication.
And even after consuming that medication and after one night of sleep, has this affected your ability to understand the proceedings?
No, it hasn't.
All right, so you've understood everything so far?
Yes.
All right, and Mr. Finling has explained the terms of the plea, what you would have to give up, the consequences. Are you satisfied with his explanations and representation?
Yes.
Is anyone forcing you to take a plea today?
No.
Ms. Bishop, if you decide to plead guilty to these charges, you will have to give up your rights to go back to have a trial in a court of law. You will not be able to face a jury or a judge where you will have the assistance of counsel to challenge the state's evidence, present your own defenses, confront your accuser, examine witnesses, and have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes.
How do you plead to one count of theft of service, criminal trespass, and willful obstruction of an officer?
I plead guilty.
And
Your
Judge, I
Yes,
may.
Mr. Finley?
I apologize, Judge. I meant to say that once she completes the community service, if her balance of probation could either be suspended or become non-reporting. I apologize. I didn't say that.
I will do non-reporting. Is there
Understood.
anything else you're seeking?
And probation fees to be waived for a period if possible.
All right, she'll have 50 hours of community service. I'll waive probation fees for the month of June, July, and August. Okay.
Understood. Thank you, Judge.
All right. So I'm sorry about that, Ms. Bishop, but based on your entry of a guilty plea to these three charges, your sentence is going to be concurrent. That means it's going to be the same sentence to be served at the same time for all three charges. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. And it's going to be 12 months to serve 30 days, credit for time served 15 days. You'll be given the benefit of a 2-for-1 ratio, so your time at the jail is complete. If there are no other holds keeping you at the jail, you will be released and placed on probation. Do we have a good residential address for Ms. Bishop?
Yes, Judge, I do have an address. I'm going to submit the probation.
All right. Ms. Bishop, probation will send you a report date and time to come to their offices, and it will be sent to you by mail. So do make sure that you have provided your current mailing address, okay?
Yes.
Once you report to probation, you will be required to complete 50 hours of community service. You can do the voluntary community service at any nonprofit agency except a school or a religious organization. You're also to stay 200 yards away from the location known as Aloft, A-L-O-F-T, at 7895 North Point Parkway in Alpharetta, Georgia. If you return to that location, you'll be arrested again and face a new charges. Your probation fees will be waived for the months of June, July, and August. So if you complete your community service by then your probation will be non-reporting, which means that you don't have to report, although technically you're still on probation. Do you understand?
Yes, I do. Can I say something?
As long as it's regarding your sentence.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because my vehicle was parked there at the hotel.
All right.
And I would need to go and pick it up.
Well, this was on May 17, 2022. So you can return to the hotel one time only with a police officer to retrieve your belongings, okay?
Yes.
However, if the vehicle or your belongings are no longer there, you would need to vacate the premises immediately.
Yes.
All right. It's possible the vehicle may be impounded or something to that effect. I do not know. I hope it's there.
Okay, I hope so too.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
All right. That concludes this case. Thank you.
Position number 7, Ms. Dixon.
Ms. Milton, we have to still go first. We have the majority of the people here.
I understand, but I have a 10 o'clock that I have to get to, and I apologize sincerely.
All right. Let me finish South Annex because they just chimed in, and I'll be as quick, as efficient as possible. Who do we have, please? And
Position number 7, Ms.
7.
Dixon.
And this is a negotiated plea, Judge.
Repeat, Mr. Finley.
Yes, Judge, the negotiated plea.
Okay. Chain and Dixon, case number 22 CR 003144G, has been accused of violations of pedestrian rules, pedestrian soliciting rights or business, and pedestrian in roadway. Ms. Chainin has been advised of her right to remain silent, and her attorney is Ms. Findling. This is from a May 20th, 2022 incident. Ms. Dixon, may I place you under oath? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. What's the recommendation, Mr. Segura?
The state's recommendation is 12 months to serve 28 days, credit for time served 14 days, balance suspended, and a stay away from 900 Sydney Marcus, Atlanta. Thank you.
And Mr. Finling, do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
I do.
Thank you. Ms. Dixon, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No, ma'am.
And have you understood everything so far?
She said 12 months to do. I don't know.
I'll explain that to you. But okay, with the exception of the sentence, have you understood everything so far?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The recommendation is 12 months to serve 28 days, credit for time served 14 days, and balance suspended. That means that your time at the jail is complete and that you do not have to be on probation and your case will be closed.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Are these the terms to which you've agreed?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And Ms. Dixon, if you decide to plead guilty to these charges, you would have to give up your rights to go back to court, to have a trial before a judge or a jury, to have counsel help you to confront your accuser, examine witnesses, present your defenses, and have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, ma'am.
Is anyone forcing you to take a plea?
No, ma'am.
How do you plead to the two charges I've listed?
Guilty.
Your sentence is time served, and you need to stay away from 900 Sydney Marcus Boulevard. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
And please do not stand in the roadway. Although I understand its circumstances, it is very, very dangerous. Please
Yes,
be
ma'am.
careful. All right? Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Position 20, Taylor Vanderburg.
And that's a negotiated plea, Your Honor.
Portia Taylor Vanderburg is accused of driving with defective or no headlights, driving while license suspended or revoked, fleeing or attempting to elude a police officer, and giving false information to a law enforcement officer. Case number 22 CR 003-152Y. Ms. Taylor Vanderburg, you have been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Ms. Catrice Helen. Ms. Sowry, what's the recommendation, please?
Yes, Your Honor, the state's recommendation is 12 months to serve 30 days, credit for time served 13 days, the balance suspended, and of course, no driving without a valid license.
Thank you. Ms. Helen, does the
Yes, Your Honor.
defense stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
I do, Your Honor.
All right. And just to be sure, is she pleading to all the charges I've listed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Taylor Vanderburg, my name is Judge Lal. I can't remember whether I placed you under oath, so let me just.
Yes, you did. They all heard it.
Okay. Thank you, thank you. All right, Ms. Vanderburg, have you consumed any medication or alcohol?
No, Your Honor.
All right, and have you understood the proceedings so far?
Yes,
Are you satisfied with Ms. Helen?
yes,
And Ms. Taylor Vanderburg, if you decide to take this plea, you will not be able to challenge these charges in a court of law. You would have to give up your rights, including the right to a trial before a judge or a jury, the right to confront your accuser, present your defenses, challenge the state's evidence, examine witnesses, and have the state try to prove these charges beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
yes,
Is anyone forcing you or inducing you to take this plea today?
no,
How do you plead to the traffic offenses of driving with a defective or no headlights, driving while license suspended or revoked, fleeing or attempting to elude an officer, and giving false information to an officer?
Your Honor.
Repeat.
I plead guilty.
All right, your sentence is time served. You will be released if you have no other holds, and you cannot operate any motor vehicle anywhere as long as you have a valid driver's license that's current, attached to you physically, and whichever vehicle you operate, it must have current registration and adequate automobile insurance. Understood?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. That concludes this case.
Position number 9, Ms.
Alright.
Latia Gold.
Mr. Finling, what's the announcement? Lalita Gold. Hello. Mr. Finling, what's the announcement?
Yes, Judge, this is a negotiated plea.
All right. Miss Lalita Gold, this is case 22 CR 003-077Y. She has been accused of criminal trespass from May 11, 2022 in case number 22 CR. Well, I just said it, didn't I? Okay. Ms. Gold, you have been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Zach Finling. May I place you under oath? Do you solemnly swear the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge? Yeah, you need to say yes or no.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, good. Mr. Segura, what is the recommendation?
The state's recommendation is 12 months to serve 32 days, credit for time served 16 days, and balance suspended. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a stay away?
No, the incident location was a hospital.
Okay. Mr. Finling, do we stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
Yeah.
All right. Ms. Gold, have you consumed any kind of medicine or alcohol recently? You need to say yes or no, okay?
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay. And are you satisfied with Mr. Finling's representation? You're not? Okay. What did you not like about Mr. Finling's representation?
Nothing.
So are you satisfied with it?
No.
All right, do you want another attorney or do you want to speak to him further to address any concerns?
No. They said I go home today. I might, I don't know.
All right. Well, has he explained to you what the plea hearing is about?
They said I had 6 months. You see if these
Miss Gold, we spoke about an hour ago, and I discussed again that it's time served, so there's no more days in jail and then no probation as well.
Is that what you've understood it to be?
Yeah.
Okay. And Ms. Gold, I understand that you're not happy with Mr. Finling, but he has explained your sentence and he has explained that if you decide to plead guilty, you would not be able to go back to court. You would not have a trial before a judge or a jury. You will not be able to confront witnesses and your accuser. And you would have to give up your right to have the prosecutor prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Was this all explained to you?
No. No, ma'am.
All right.
Ms. Gold,
All right.
I asked her those questions.
All right, Ms. Gold, I don't think you are going to be able to enter a plea with a full understanding of what the rights you have to give up. So I'm going to have to reset your case and we will address your case next Thursday.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next, we have position 1, Ms. Brown, position number. Hey, come on, sit down. Ms. Brown, have a seat here, please. Position number 5, Ms. Brown, Your Honor.
Have a seat. Have a seat. Have a seat. Thank you. Position, Ms. Brown, is that correct?
Add-on 5.
Okay.
Look at the judge.
Add-on 5 is Karen Daniels, is that correct?
No, this is Alexis Brown.
Oh, excuse me. Oh, lots of paperwork go here, excuse me. Okay, Alexis Brown, is that correct? Are you Miss Brown? You need to say yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Is this someone that you're related to, the young lady? Do you know Miss Alexis Brown? Okay, now come around. You do not move in a courtroom unless the sheriff allows you to do so. Come around. And come to this podium right here. Unfortunately, the thing doesn't work, so we have someone of an interested party in the courtroom right now. And what's your name?
Dorothea Henry.
Dorothea Henry.
I'm her sister.
Okay. We have Miss Brown's sister. Her name is Dorothea Henry in the courtroom. Okay. Mr. Finling, what is that your case?
Yes, it is, Judge.
All right. Zach Finling is her attorney. All right. And unfortunately, our big screen is not operating today, so I'm just going to let you know what's going on. Okay. Mr. Finling, what's the announcement for Miss Brown?
Yes, Judge. This is going to be a negotiated plea.
Okay. So Miss Alexis Brown is going to enter a plea of guilty or no contest to the charge of theft by shoplifting and criminal trespass, in exchange for a recommended sentence, of which it looks like it's going to be completing. She'll be released within 24 hours to be placed on probation, and she would need to complete an anti-theft class and stay away from Walmart. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor, that's correct.
All right. All right, just a second. Miss Alexis Brown, your case number is 22 CR 001-736F. Miss Brown has been accused of the 2 charges of this listed from March 16th, 2022. We have Miss Dorothea Henry, who is her sister in the courtroom. Miss Brown, you have been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Zach Findling. And Miss Sowry, the prosecutor, have I articulated the terms of the recommended sentence clearly?
Yes, Your Honor, you have.
Okay. And Mr. Findling, do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID for this case?
I do, Judge. And I would just ask that that once she does complete the anti-theft class, that her probation could either be
I
non-reporting.
can't hardly walk, so I can't make it there. I have bad feet and stuff. I can't make it there.
I understand that, but we'll address that shortly. You're asking for probation fees to be, for her to go non-reporting once she completes the anti-theft class?
That's correct, Judge, and probation fees waived as well.
Okay. And Ms. Sari, do you have any objection to non-reporting?
No objection, Your Honor.
Do you have an alternative to a anti-theft class? Or can she do this via Zoom? Are these classes available via Zoom?
That I'm not sure of.
Okay. All right. Before I proceed, Ms. Henry, do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth?
Yes,
What would you
ma'am.
like to tell me?
She's a mental illness patient. She has no knowledge of time, dates. She will not be able to make those classes. So it's like setting her up for failure because she doesn't know what day it is on a daily basis.
Okay, understood. In lieu of an anti-theft class, I would simply ask that she stay away from the Walmart at 4735 State Route 138 in Union City. Well, actually, what happens with Walmart is that they make you stay away from all their stores. So she would have to stay away from all Walmart stores. And if you happen to be going shopping and she's with you, you can't take her into a Walmart store. She could be arrested again.
Understood.
For trespass.
Your Honor,
Any
with this,
objection from the state?
with this information, as a possible MH defendant, we would like to further speak about this. Are we allowed to do a breakout?
With whom?
With you and the public defender?
I can only do that towards the conclusion of the case, or I can do that next Thursday. So, because I've got a lot of cases ahead of me. So I'm asking again one more time, would a anti-theft, instead of in lieu of an anti-theft class, would simply being on probation and staying away from Walmart be satisfactory?
Yes, Your Honor, that's fine.
All right. I'm going to dispense with the anti-theft class. She will be on active probation. She doesn't have to report, but if she violates, if she gets arrested again, her probation may be revoked and she may have to spend the rest of the time in jail.
And how long is probation?
It's going to be for, she served 68 days, so that would be for less than 10 months.
Okay. And there's nowhere to report or call?
She will be on non-reporting probation.
Oh, okay.
Miss Brown.
Look at the judge.
The state has agreed to remove the anti-theft class, but if you get arrested again while on probation, or if you enter a Walmart while on probation and get arrested for trespass, you will be back in jail to serve out the rest of your sentence. Is this something that you'd like to consider? All right, if you cannot understand what I'm saying, I'm going to reset this case.
Alexis, say yes. Alexis, say yes.
Ms. Brown, so the judge has decided that you don't have to do the theft class and you do not have to report as well. If you'd like to move forward with the guilty plea, if you could tell the judge yes or no.
Yes.
Please.
Yeah.
Ms. Brown, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No, I haven't taken it.
Are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes.
And is anyone forcing you to take a plea today?
No.
If you decide to take this recommended sentence, you would have to give up your right to go back to court, to have a trial before a judge or jury, to confront your accuser, examine witnesses, and have the prosecutor try to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes.
How do you plead to one count of theft by shoplifting and one count of criminal trespass?
Yes.
How do you plead? Guilty or not guilty to one
Guilty.
count of theft by shoplifting and
Guilty.
one count of criminal trespass?
Yes.
Repeat your plea.
Yes.
Ms.
Yes, ma'am.
Brown, if you could say it's either guilty or
Yes,
not.
sir.
guilty, Brown.
How do you plead?
Guilty.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 135 days, credit for time served 68 days. Your time at the jail is concluded. You'll be released and placed on probation. She will need to make an appointment with probation one time. So she needs to actually travel and go see probation the first visit.
Can that be given to me?
And then after that, she doesn't have to report, but she will be on probation.
Can they not give that paperwork to her? Can they give it to me so I can make sure she gets there?
What's your
I make sure that I have her phone number.
what's your phone number?
404
Miss Vaughn, take down this number, 404
694
694
2929.
2929. Her caregiver is Dorothea Henry. And if you can reach out to her, she will assist Miss Henry and making sure Miss Brown making her appointment date. Okay? All right. She has to stay away from all Walmart stores, and if she gets arrested again, well, she'll be back in the Fulton County Jail. All right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Debbie Milton.
Appreciate you.
Courtroom 2, is that who we are going to commence with?
Yes, Judge, this is actually position 13, Mr. O'Neill on the competency calendar.
Oh. Which calendar?
The competency calendar.
I see. Okay.
Understood.
All right, Courtroom 2, good morning. My name is Judge Jesse Long, and I'm addressing each of your cases on a one-on-one basis. When your case is summoned, we'll be asking you some questions and also seeing what your attorneys and you have decided to do, move forward with your case, whether you want to enter a particular plea or whether you want to enter a plea of not guilty and have your case scheduled for trial. Some of your cases, we'll also be possibly revisiting your bond or addressing any other matters that your attorney wishes to bring up. During the course of these proceedings, please remember that these are active, open criminal cases against each one of you. You have a right to remain silent about the facts of the case. If you say anything about the facts of the case during this virtual, recorded, and live stream proceeding, your statements will be documented and used against you in the treatment of your case, especially by the prosecutors who are present on this Zoom proceeding, Zoom conference call. So please remember to exercise your right to remain silent. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, we have attorneys from the Public Defense Office or from our conflict defense list who will be representing most of you. Okay, this is position 13 from our competency calendar. And this is 22 CR 002-006C. Is this Durante O'Neill? Is this Durante O'Neill?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. O'Neill, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Derek Howard. Mr. Howard, are we proceeding in open court for this?
Yes, Judge.
All right, what's the announcement for Mr. O'Neill's case?
It is a negotiated plea, Judge.
All right. Mr. O'Neill, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Walker, what's the recommendation?
Your Honor, the state's recommendation is a time served offer of 61 days, balance suspended with the condition of a stay away of 275 Moreland Avenue. I would like to make a note that the second count of shoplifting, we're going to merge that into the first count.
All right. And so it'll be a plea to theft by shoplifting and obstruction of a law enforcement officer. The third
Yeah.
count will merge Okay,
That's correct.
all right. And Mr. Howard, do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue and ID?
We do, Judge.
All right. And could you give me the location again? I had 275 North
Moreland
Avenue.
Moreland Ave.
Oh, Moreland. Okay, Moreland Avenue.
Yes.
Is that a particular business?
It is, I believe it's a convenience store, but if you give me 2 seconds, I can give you the exact name.
I didn't know whether it was a gas station or a restaurant or a
I
shop.
believe it's like let me see. I don't have the store's name, but it just references it as a convenience store, I think.
All right, we'll go with the address.
Cigarettes or something.
We'll go with the address. Mr. O'Neill, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No, Your Honor, ma'am.
And you've been represented by Mr. Derek Howard. Are you happy with this representation?
It's how successful is the reputation.
Okay, I think that was a yes. Okay.
Bradbury, you have to lower your voice.
Okay.
And Mr. O'Neill, is anyone forcing you to take a plea today or inducing you to enter a plea today?
No, ma'am.
If you decide to take this plea, I'm sorry, Deputy, someone's talking really loud. Okay.
It's Mr. Bradbury on the phone. Mr. Bradbury, you have to lower your voice. It's too loud.
Talk soft, man. Talk soft.
All right. Please instruct Mr. Bradbury to stop talking. Stop talking. Okay. Mr. O'Neill, I'm sorry for the interruption, but if you decide to take this plea today, you would have to give up your constitutional right to have a trial in a court of law, to be able to have your attorney help you challenge the state's case, to present your own defenses, to confront your accuser, examine witnesses, and have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, Your Honor.
How do you plead to 1 count of theft by shoplifting and 1 count of obstruction of a law enforcement officer?
Guilty, ma'am.
Your sentence is time served. That means your time at the jail for this case is concluded. If you have no other cases holding you at the jail, then you will be released. You cannot return to the business that is located at 275 Moreland Avenue in Atlanta, Georgia. So the location from where you were arrested, you cannot return to that store. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
If you return there, well, you've just written your own invitation to come back to jail. Understood?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, next we have Mr. Osterlu on 4 South.
51 days. I'm sorry, Deputy, could you repeat?
Yeah, Mr. Osterlu.
Yeah, at 4 South, yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and Miss Ellen, what position number is that case?
That is the add-on I have as position 6 on the revised add-on calendar.
Okay.
And that's a negotiated plea, Your Honor.
Do we have a revised?
I believe Davis was taken off the original add-on calendar, and so Mr. Osterlu is position 6.
All right. I'm sorry, yeah. We have Mr. Christopher Osterlu at 4 South, case number 11 CR 367392. Mr. Osterlu has been accused of DUI, alcohol less safe, DUI, alcohol per se, speeding, reckless driving, and failure to maintain lane from an incident date of June 5th, 2010. Mr. Osterlu, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and you're represented by counsel, Ms. Catrice Helen. This is going to be a negotiated plea, you say?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Osterlu, do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Okay, Miss.
It's my case, Your Honor.
Right, Mr. Walker, what is the recommendation for Mr. Osterlu.
Yes, the defendant will be entering a guilty plea to 1 count of DUI per se. The recommendation to that count is going to be 12 months to serve 40 days, credit for time served of 40 days, balance suspended with a $300 suspended fine, 40 hours of community service, which is also suspended, an alcohol and drug evaluation with any necessary treatment, which has already been completed. All the other charges will merge into that particular count.
Yes, Your Honor. That is our understanding of that plea. We do stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID.
Is that a legal merger for all these charges?
I would say so. If the court is more comfortable, I'd be glad to submit a null prize.
I'm more comfortable. The DUI less safe will merge with the alcohol per se and go ahead and null pros speeding, reckless driving, and failure to maintain lane.
We could do that.
Thank you.
Understood, Judge.
All right, make sure that you email that to Miss Grace, Melissa Grace. Thank you, Mr. Walker. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, and I'm sorry, Miss Helen, do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID for DUI alcohol per se?
I do, Judge.
All right. Mr. Osterlu, you have been charged with these traffic offenses, but you'll be pleading guilty to only 1 count of DUI alcohol per se. Is that your understanding?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. First of all, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No, Your Honor.
And have you been satisfied with the representation you received with regards to this case?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is anyone forcing you or inducing you to take a plea today?
No, Your Honor.
If you decide to plead guilty to the DUI alcohol per se, you would have to give up your constitutional right to challenge this charge or all the other charges in a court of law, to confront your accuser, present defenses, and have the state try to prove the charges beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, Your Honor.
How do you plead to 1 count of DUI alcohol per se?
Guilty, Your Honor.
Repeat.
Guilty.
Thank you. Your sentence is time served, the $300 fine, 40 hours community service, and the alcohol suspended, and the alcohol and drug evaluation and treatment is completed. So that completes all your obligations for this case. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, Courtroom 2, who do we have, please?
We have position A, family.
Position 8.
And this is going to be a negotiated plea, Judge.
All right. Is this Mr. Wyatt Finley?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Finley, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Finley. He's representing you in case number 22 CR 003117C, in which you've been accused of criminal trespass with regards to Marta. Mr. Finley, this is going to be a negotiated plea. May I place you under oath? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Segura, what's the recommendation?
The state's recommendation is 12 months to serve 30 days, credit for time served 15 days, balance suspended, and a stay away from all Malta locations.
In accordance with any suspension?
Yes.
Does he have a lifetime ban for Malta? Do you know?
Let me check. Yes, he has a 1-year suspension, which ends at September the 15th. And he has a 2-year-long suspension, which ends at January 2023.
January 2023. So that's the
January-
latest.
The 3rd, 2023.
Right. So his latest suspension ends in January of 2023. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. That's the latest one.
Mhm.
Okay. Melissa. Okay, here we go, Melissa. Mr. Finley, do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
I do.
All right, thank you. Mr. Finley, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No, Your Honor.
And you've been represented by Mr. Finley. Are you satisfied with the explanation and representation you've received?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is anyone forcing you or inducing you to take a plea today?
No, Your Honor.
And do you understand that you have active suspensions from MARTA, the latest one being through January of 2023, which is next year?
Yes.
So if you decide to take this plea, you have to stay away from all MARTA property, and you cannot use any of its services, buses and trains, or any of the amenities, the bathrooms and so forth, until the end of January of next year.
Understand.
Okay. If you decide to take this plea, you would have to give up your constitutional right to a trial before a judge or a jury, to have the assistance of counsel to present your defenses, challenge the state's evidence, confront your accuser, examine witnesses, and have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, Your Honor.
How do you plead to the one count of criminal trespass?
Guilty.
Your sentence is time served. This balance has been suspended, and you are to stay away from all MARTA property in accordance with all active suspensions currently until January 2023. Hopefully you don't rack up any more. Okay?
All right.
Best of luck. Thank you.
Next, we have position 5, Carter.
Antoine Michael Carter is case 22 CR 003-143E, accused of criminal trespass, possession of marijuana less than 1 ounce, obstruction of an officer, and simple battery from a May 20th, 2022 incident. Mr. Carter, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Zach Finley. Announcement, Mr. Finley?
Oh, yes, Judge. This is going to be a negotiated plea.
All right. Mr. Carter, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
That's correct.
All right. Mr. Segura, will this be a concurrent sentence?
As for all 4 charges to be concurrent,
All right. And what's the recommendation?
the state's recommendation is 12 months to serve 28 days, credit for time served 14 days, balance probated, 6 weeks anger management, a stay away from the American Hotel Atlanta downtown, located at 160 Ted Turner Drive, Northwest Atlanta, and no further contact with Tikia Kendall, Tikia spelled T-I-Q-U-A, Kendall, K-I-N-D-E-L-L. Thank you.
All right. And Mr. Finley?
Yes, Judge. That is our understanding of the offer, of which we do agree. We would just ask that once Mr. Carter does complete that 6-week anger management, that his probation could either be terminated or be non-reporting. And additionally, if the probation fees could be waived for a period of time, Judge.
All right. And any comment on the non-reporting, Mr. Segura?
There's no objection.
All right. No objection. All right. And you've already stipulated, correct, Mr. Finley? Okay.
Judge.
Mr. Carter, have you consumed any medicine or alcohol recently?
Yeah, it would impair my judgment. No, ma'am.
And Mr. Finley and you have been talking about this case. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Oh, me? Yes. Yeah. Oh.
Okay. Deputy, is whoever still talking back there?
They're interviewing over the phone, Judge Law.
Okay. Could you tell that gentleman that his volume is fine, but he needs to stop using profanities? All right, thank you. Mr. Carter, is anyone forcing you or inducing you to take a plea?
No, ma'am.
And if you decide to take this plea for these 4 charges, do you understand that you would need to complete a 6-week anger management program?
It was 3 charges from what I was aware of. The simple battery charge, I don't know where that came from. It was just obstruction, marijuana less than an ounce, and criminal trespassing. Remember we had talked.
You were booked into the Fulton County Jail on May 21st, 2022. The incident occurred on May 20th.
Right.
And the charges that were read to you when you were booked at the Fulton County Jail in front of Judge Mincy in front of me, actually. Yep, you're right. It was 3 charges: criminal trespass, misdemeanor obstruction, and possession of marijuana.
Right.
Since then, the prosecutor has added a 4th charge of simple battery, and that was filed on May 25th, 3 days after you were at the jail. So these were the 4 charges that were brought against you. Mr. Finling, were you aware of the 4th charge?
I did mention it. I'm not sure if when I read through them, I was like, did you plead guilty? And I named the 4. I don't know if he didn't hear me or, yeah.
Mr. Carter, you don't have to plead guilty. You can definitely challenge all these charges, including the simple battery, in a court of law. Or if you want, you can have another conference with your counsel.
Could I get an OR bond and then we can go from there?
Or if you want an OR bond, then I can give you an OR bond on the simple battery, but you still have to bond out on the other charges. So I don't think you're ready for a plea today, are you?
Yes. Are they all misdemeanors?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Mr. Carter, do you want me to? Yeah.
No,
Your
yeah.
Honor, I'm sorry to interrupt. The state will be glad to
No,
know.
hang on. I'm not about to have a discussion of this nature here. Deputy, can you put Mr. Carter on side, and when Mr. Finling is available, he will call the jail. You have the number, Mr. Finling?
Yes, I do, Judge.
All right, and talk to him and see if he wants to take a plea or plead not guilty, and we'll be glad to.
I'm ready for the plea, Judge. I'm ready for the plea.
I'm not
Mr.
ready
Carter.
for your plea.
Yeah, I'd like to discuss it further with you. I thought you understood.
Next case, please.
That was the charge.
All right, go ahead and have a seat. Position 13, King.
That's a negotiated plea, Your Honor.
All right.
King.
Jarrell King, we just addressed him.
Oh, 13 is non-negotiated. I thought we were doing the other King.
Okay, we just addressed Jarrell King, charged with simple battery.
Jesse King, position 13.
I have Jesse King, position 14 on my calendar. I'm sorry, Francois, we've got.
Judge, you're right. You're right.
Okay.
Position 14 is Jesse King.
All right.
Position 13 is Gerald King.
All right. The gentleman who's in front of the camera right now, sir, are you Jesse King?
Yes, ma'am.
Ah, thank goodness. Okay.
And that is a negotiated plea, Your Honor.
Mr. Jesse King, Jessie, case number 22CR003123C, is accused of criminal trespass in violation of certain rules on a bus, rail, or station. This is from a May 19th, 2022 incident. Mr. King, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Ms. Catrice Helen. This is going to be a negotiated plea, so Mr. Jesse King, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Masari, what's the recommendation for Mr. King?
Yes, Your Honor, the recommendation is 12 months to serve 40 days, credit for time served 15 days, the balance suspended, and stay away from MARTA as he has a permanent ban. There is a second case that was offered as well. That's to run concurrent. Case number 22CR002260C. And it's 12 months to serve 40 days, credit for time served 15 days, balance probated, 40 hours community service, restitution, a stay away from MARTA, and no contact with the victim, Keith Robinson.
All right. And what's the amount of the restitution that the state's seeking?
I'll have to pull that up in one moment.
All right, and while you're pulling that up, Miss Helen, were you aware we are addressing the other case as well? I'm sorry, you're on mute, Miss Helen?
Yes, Your Honor, I was aware that we were addressing that because my case is not holding him. So yes, Your Honor.
So he's taking, so in your discussions, he's addressing both cases?
Correct, Judge.
All right. All right, Mr. King, apparently you have 2 open state court cases. And let me just go into the second case, which is 22 CR 002260. And are they the same? I need to pull up that case as well, since it's not listed separately on the calendar.
Excuse me. I didn't hear the second case all the way through. I was interrupted.
Did you know about the second case?
No, ma'am.
Judge, we discussed it, but Mr. King, let me talk to you for a second and we can go ahead and make sure that you understand that second case.
You need a breakout with him?
Or I can just call, Judge.
All right, this second case, he's accused of theft by taking from February 24th, 2022. And I guess he had a bench warrant. Yeah, he has a 3,500 signature bond through the jail on that charge. I don't know whether he has a bench warrant in that case.
And Your Honor, the state is willing to remove the restitution provision.
Okay. Well, that's what's going on. So Miss Helen, you need to speak to your client?
Yes, Your Honor, just quickly.
All right, and go ahead and call the jail. And Mr. Finling, are you ready to address Mr. Carter? Have you spoken to him?
Yes, Judge, we are ready.
All right, have a seat, Mr. King, and Mr. Carter, come back.
Back there or at the phone?
That's the phone for you. Ring, ring.
So, okay, it looks like Mr. Howard just reached out to me and said that Mr. Walker stated that they're going to null process simple battery.
All right, so the simple battery charge is going to be null prossed. So that means Mr. Carter only needs to plead guilty to three charges: criminal trespass, misdemeanor possession of marijuana, and obstruction. Is that correct, Mr. Segura?
Yes, just those 3.
All right. So, Mr. Carter, you will be pleading to criminal trespass, misdemeanor possession of marijuana, and obstruction of a law enforcement officer. Those are the 3 charges, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, good. So to resume your plea hearing, again, have you consumed any alcohol or medication recently?
No, ma'am.
And are you satisfied with the representation of your attorney?
I am.
And is anyone forcing you to take this plea today?
No, ma'am.
If you decide to take this plea, you would have to give up your constitutional rights to go back to court, to have a trial before a judge or a jury, to be able to have the assistance of counsel to challenge the state, to challenge the state's case. All right, I'm so sorry, my video is, but you can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I just can't see you. That's all.
All right, to challenge the state's case, to be able to examine witnesses and have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, ma'am. All right.
All right. How do you plead? To criminal trespass, misdemeanor possession of marijuana, and obstruction of an officer?
Guilty.
Your sentence is going to be concurrent, and it's going to be 12 months.
And
to
Judge,
serve.
we're ready on position 14.
Yeah, I'll be with you shortly. So weird. Okay, it's going to be 12 months to serve 28 days, credit for time served 14 days. Your jail time for this case is complete. You will be placed on probation. You must report to probation within 48 hours of being released, which means by next Tuesday. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Well, once you are created a probation case, you will complete a 6-week anger management program. I will waive your probation fees for the months of June, July, August, and September. So make sure you enroll in your anger management program within 30 days of being released. and complete it within the next few months. After that, your probation will be non-reporting. At all times while you are on probation, active or non-reporting, you are to stay away from the American Hotel in downtown Atlanta, located at 160 Ted Turner Drive, Northwest Atlanta. And you are to have no further contact with Tiqua, Tiqua Kindle. I assume that's an employee of the hotel?
Yeah, she's the property manager.
Okay, make sure you have no further contact with this individual. Stay 200 yards away from the hotel and this person and have no communication whatsoever. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I'm going to take a 2-minute pause because we're having to reset the system over here. I will be with all of you shortly.
So I'm good to go back? Or?
All right, much better. Courtroom 2, I think we've concluded with Mr. Carter's case. Is Mr. King available? Is he done talking to Ms. Helen? Or we can take the next case.
Judge, we're ready on position 14. Mr. King is a negotiated plea.
Have a seat.
So he's now aware of the second case?
Correct, Judge.
Thank you, Melissa. All right, Mr. King, again, are you familiar with the second case?
Not really, but she just told me on the phone. I'm guessing.
This incident is theft by taking on February 24th, 2020, in which you've been accused. Did she give you the alleged facts of that case?
Yes, ma'am. She gave me the rundown.
Is regarding taking a cell phone allegedly from one Robinson Keith.
Yeah,
does that ring a bell? At least the case?
Not really.
You were arrested?
No.
Judge, can we read the accusation out from Mr. Jesse King for that theft by taking?
Sure.
Judge, we're not going to plea him out to this case today. He's not prepared. We haven't had adequate time to discuss with him. So let's just hold off on that particular case, which is what I'll be comfortable with today, Judge.
I totally agree. Thank you. All right, Mr. King, we're going to address the other case. Do you want to address both cases then at the same time?
Yes, Judge.
All right. Are we going to reset this case to next Thursday? That's going to be June 9th. To address both cases so that Mr. King is given all the information with regards to both cases, because he has no recollection of even being arrested in that prior case. Thank you. June 9th for both cases. Thank you, Mr. King.
For sure.
Next, we have Mr. Bradbury. He's position 3 and 4 on the add-on calendar.
Judge, I have an announcement on that case. We're not prepared to continue to represent Mr. Bradbury. We're asking maybe for a reset for one of the conflict attorneys. to potentially represent him, but our office won't be able to continue representation of him at this time.
All right. Mr. Damian Bradbury, you have two cases, 21 CR 001-521C and 22 CR 002-949C. The 1521C is the charge of battery, substantial physical harm from May 30th, 2020. And the case ending, 22 CR case ending in 2949C is a charge of simple battery from May 14th, 2022. With regards to both cases, you have a right to remain silent about the facts of the case. Anything you say, your statements can and will be used against you. You have the right to counsel. If you cannot financially qualify, if you financially qualify for public defense, you have a right to appointed counsel. Based on the announcement from the public defender's office, they are not qualified to represent you, so I have to appoint a conflict attorney to represent you. And that would have to be done and that would take a few days. So I won't be able to address your case till June 9th. Thank you.
Judge, I told you would be somebody. Thank you, Miss Your Honor.
Next, we have position 3 and 4 on the regular calendar. His name is Mr. Brown.
Okay. Mr. Michael Jordan, please contact conflict counsel so that they may represent Mr. Bradbury on June 9th. Thank you. Three and 4.
And Judge Law, this is a conflict case. Both positions.
Mr. Murphy, good morning. Is that your client? Robert Milton Brown?
No, no, Judge. That's he has
Ms. Watson Cafe?
That's correct. That's correct.
All right.
His position, Judge.
Yeah, Mr. Robert Brown, his counsel is not present, Ms. Watson Cafe, and I'm not sure what her announcement is going to be for this case. So we can we need to either put this case on the side, Mr. Brown. We will address you shortly. We just need to contact Ms. Watson Cafe to find out what her announcement is or whether she needs a new court date.
I'll give her a call, Judge. She was on earlier. I'm not sure what happened with her. So I'll give her a
She
call.
may have had to go to a different proceeding. Mr. Brown, you have a right to remain silent. Your attorney is not present. I would not recommend you make. We're going to call her to see if we can resume with your case today.
Okay, yes, ma'am, thank you. That's all I'm asking. Thank you.
Yeah, just have a seat over there. We're gonna get back to your case. Next is position 6 and 8, Mr. Davis.
I'm sorry, Francois, repeat that.
Yeah.
This is 6 and 8.
Yeah.
Mr.
And
Davis.
And I've been in contact with Mr. Jordan. This one was reset. We spoke about it yesterday that this was going to be. Yeah, he wasn't.
Okay, is this Trabius Colbert?
No, this is Randall Davis.
From which calendar?
Judge, we had an original calendar that did include a Mr. Davis for an add-on of 9 people.
Yeah, and then a new add-on was sent out.
I'm sorry, he was not on the calendar. This is the old position that I just read off. Sorry about that.
No problem. Okay, Mr. Finling, could you give me the case number for this gentleman?
Yes. Let me pull up. So he was on the old add-on calendar. Let me find it.
What's his name?
Randall Davis. Yeah, he was originally.
He has 3 cases. They were reset till Tuesday.
To Tuesday.
Mr. Davis.
Tuesday. Okay. So give me his 3 case numbers, please.
7.
This was from an old add-on calendar?
Yeah, there was.
So his case numbers are 21CR003-958G,
Okay,
22CR002-853G,
mhm.
22CR002-935G.
935G, okay.
So
And
he's
his
been
name?
reset a couple of times.
And his,
Randall Davis, RANDALL.
all right, thank you. Mr. Davis, good morning, sir.
Good morning, man.
All right. Mr. Davis, it appears that you have 3 open active criminal cases with the Fulton County State Court. They were supposed to be addressed today, but apparently they've been reset to Tuesday, June 7th.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And did you speak to Attorney Zach Finling?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And has he explained to you that the cases have been reset?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And Mr. Finling, do we have plea offers with regards to these cases?
Your Honor, there's only one offer.
Okay. It's a global offer?
No, it's 12 months to serve on the 2853G case.
All right.
And then no offers on the other 2.
Okay. So Mr. Davis, right now, there is an offer. You may not like it, but I'm going to let Mr. Finling talk with you before your next court date. So, or whoever's going to be the public defense attorney, and then you can make a decision as to whether you want to, how you want to proceed with your case. Okay?
Yes.
All right. So we'll see you on June 7th before Judge Eric Morrow. Good luck.
Colbert, position 6, Colbert is next.
And Francois, after position 6, could we bring back Jesse King? Miss Watson Cafe, I think, is with us now. All right. So is this Trabius Colbert?
Not King.
Yes, ma'am.
Your case number is 22CR003116B, in which you've been accused of battery, domestic violence from May 19, 2022. You've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Owen Lynch. What's the announcement, Mr. Lynch?
Your Honor, we've reached a negotiated plea in this matter.
All right, thank you. Mr. Colbert, may I place you under oath for the purposes of the plea? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yeah, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Segura, what's the recommendation for Mr. Colbert?
The recommendation is 12 months to serve 30 days, credit for time served 15 days, balance probated, FWIP, and no violent contact with Kiana Byner. Kiana spelled K-I-A-N-N-A, Byner, B-Y-N-E-R. And I also want to make note that Ms. Byner is on scene right now.
Oh, I noted that too. Thank you. All right. And Mr. Lynch, are these the terms to which your client has agreed?
Yes, Your Honor. No violent contact with Ms. Byner. They do want to have continued contact, so we would ask the court to accept the plea as negotiated. Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Segura, I think you mentioned no further contact. Is there a...
I made some changes based on information that I was able to get from the PD from late afternoon yesterday. So we changed it to no violent contact.
All right. And is the stay away still in place?
It's not, as we found out that that incident location is actually a relative of the defendant's home and has no relation with Ms. Byner.
Okay. Ms. Kiana Byner, my name is Judge Lal. Did you want to address the court with regards to contact and having Mr. Colbert return to wherever both of you live or where you live?
Yes.
And what would you like to tell me?
I want to have contact with him.
Repeat?
I want to have contact with him.
Okay. And would you like him, were you comfortable with him being in the same house with you or in the same?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. All right, Mr. Lynch, you stipulate to the factual basis, venue and ID?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Colbert, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No, ma'am.
And are you satisfied with the representation you received from Mr. Lynch?
Yes, ma'am.
Is anyone forcing you or inducing you to take a plea?
No, ma'am.
And are you doing so freely, voluntarily, and knowingly?
Yes, ma'am.
If you decide to enter a plea of battery, domestic violence involving one Miss Kiana Biner, you would have to give up your constitutional rights to challenge this charge in a court of law. Specifically, you will not be able to have a trial before a judge or a jury. You will not be able to have a counsel to help you challenge the state's evidence, confront your accuser, examine witnesses, present your own defenses, and have the state try to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to one count of battery, domestic violence?
Guilty.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 30 days, credit for time served, 15 days. The rest of the time will be on probation. Mr. Lynch, do we have a good address on Mr. Colbert?
Your Honor, I'm not sure if the court has his current address. My understanding is the incident location is not his current address, so he may need to update probation. I'm sorry, I can't speak to whether the court has the correct address.
All right, Mr. Colbert, if you want probation or anyone to contact you, we need your current address. Could you please give that to the deputy so they can put in the chat to probation?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. While you're on probation, you'll report to probation by next Tuesday. And while on probation, you will enroll in a domestic violence intervention program within 30 days of being released. That means on your second or third visit with probation, you must confirm that you're already enrolled in a domestic violence intervention program. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
That is a 6-month program, and you have to attend the classes every week at your expense. While you're on probation, you are not to consume any illegal drugs or alcohol, and you are not to possess any weapons or firearm. You are to have no violent contact with Kiana Biner. That means there cannot be any physical or verbal altercations that would require law enforcement to intervene. Do you have any questions about your sentence?
No, ma'am.
All right, that concludes this case. Thank you.
And next we got Mr. Boykins. You know, please help.
May I be excused, Your Honor?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Lynch. You have a good one.
Thank you, Judge.
We have,
Johnson?
all right, I'm at 3 South with Mr. Boykins.
I'm sorry?
All right, Francois, I'm going to take 3 South right now. Okay, is that Jerome Boykins?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and Mr. Boykins' case number is 21 CR 006-917H. He's been accused of DUI under the influence of alcohol that's safe, speeding, possession of an open alcohol container, and a seatbelt violation. And this is from October 28th, 2020. Mr. Boykins, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and representing you is Mr. Zach Finling. Mr. Finling, what's the announcement?
Yes, Judge. These are negotiated plea, and he's number 2 on the regular calendar, and then number 2 on the add-on as well.
Okay, oh, so yes, the second case. All right, thank you.
Yes, Judge.
All right, and is he taking a plea on both cases?
That's correct.
All right.
Negotiated plea on both.
So, Mr. Boykins, you have a second case where apparently we're going to resolve that by a plea hearing. It's 22 CR 003-288H, in which you were accused of criminal trespass from May 24th, 2022. Okay, so this is going to be a negotiated plea. Could you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Thank you. I can't hear you. All right. So, Mr. Segura, what's the recommendation for the DUI case?
For the DUI case, the state's recommendation is 12 months to serve 20 days, credit for time served 10 days, balance probated, $500 fee, 40 hours community service, WIP, risk reduction, and ADET. As for the criminal trespass case, the state's recommendation for this case is 12 months to serve 20 days, credit for time served 10 days, balance suspended, a stay away from 232 Peyton Road, Southwest Atlanta, and no further contact with Kyrethia Wilkie, Kyrethia spelled Kayrethea, Wilkie, Wilkie, and Chandria Sudade, Chandria spelled Shaunddria, Studare, Studdare. Thank you.
All right. And just to clarify on the DUI case, I noticed there was one victim impact panel. Are y'all taking that out?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Mr. Finley?
Yes, Judge, that was our understanding of the offer, of which we do agree. We would just ask on position number 2, the DUI less safe, that the probation fees could be waived for a period of time to make sure Mr. Boykins gets back on his feet, as finances are an issue in his life. And that once he completes all those conditions, if he could be on non-reporting status. And then in regards to number 2, that is our complete understanding of the offer, of which we do agree.
So 4 months waiver, is that sufficient?
Yes, Judge.
All right. Mr. Boykins, with regards to both cases, I'm going to be asking you a series of questions, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
First of all, have you consumed any medication or drugs recently?
No, ma'am.
And Mr. Finley has been discussing the terms of the plea offers for both cases. Are you satisfied with this representation?
Yes, ma'am.
If you decide to take this plea today, you would have to give up your constitutional rights to go back to court, to have a trial before a judge or a jury, to be able to challenge these charges in a court of law with the assistance of counsel, to confront your accuser, examine witnesses, and have the state try to prove the charges beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, ma'am.
Is anyone forcing you to take a plea in either one or both cases?
No, ma'am.
How do you plead? To one count? Well,
My bad.
don't jump ahead.
All right.
Okay. How do you plead to one count of criminal trespass from the May 24th, 2022 incident?
Guilty.
Your sentence is time served. You cannot return to 232 Peyton Road in Southwest Atlanta, and you cannot have any contact with Kyrethia Wilkie and Chandria Studder. You know these two individuals?
No, ma'am.
All right. Well, just stay away from anyone called Wilkie and Studder, and do not return to 232 Peyton Road. If you return to that location, or if you engage in any communication with these two individuals, you will be arrested again and brought back to jail. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
With regards to the second case from 2020, the DUI case, how do you plead to one count of DUI under the influence of alcohol less safe, speeding, possession of an open alcohol container, and a seatbelt violation?
Guilty.
A sentence is going to be concurrent. That means it applies to all charges. And that's going to be 12 months to serve 20 days, credit for time served 10 days, balance on probation. You'll report to probation by next Tuesday. While you're on probation, your your probation fees will be waived up to and including September of 2022. While on probation, you need to complete a 40 hours of voluntary community service. You need to pay a $500 fine. You need to do one risk reduction program and complete a alcohol and drug evaluation with a qualified provider. And if the evaluator says you need treatment, you must submit yourself to treatment. All these must be done at your expense. That's why your probation fees are waived for the next 4 months. After September, if you've not completed the terms, you will continue reporting to probation and start paying probation fees from September 1st, 2022. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Otherwise, if you've completed all the terms, I'll place you on non-reporting probation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Francois, is Jesse King talking to Miss Watson Cafe?
Yes, but his name is not Jesse. Are you referring to Mr. Brown?
Oh, Mr. Brown, I'm sorry, I may be getting the last individual we had who was represented by conflict.
That's
It should
Mr.
be
Brown.
Brown, Judge.
Oh, is that Mr. Brown? Okay, I'm so sorry. Okay, who do we have right now in courtroom 2?
Position 11, Mr. Johnson.
Okay. Raymond Johnson is case number 22 CR 003-121E. Mr. Johnson has been accused of battery, domestic violence, and criminal trespass from a May 19, 2022 incident. Mr. Johnson, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Finley?
No, Your Honor, it's me and it's a negotiated plea.
Okay. Counsel for you is Ms. Catrice Helen, and this is going to be a negotiated plea. So, Mr. Johnson, may I place you under oath? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge? Thank you. Okay, Mr. Segura, we have one count of battery, domestic violence, and criminal trespass. What is the state seeking in terms of a plea offer?
For both charges, the state's recommendation is 12 months to serve 30 days, credit for time served 15 days, balance probated, FWIP, restitution for a broken cell phone, which listed in the police report for $300, a stairway from Savannah Suites located at 140 Pine Street, Northeast Atlanta, and no further contact with Rosium Vasquez. Rosium spelled R-O-S-E-A-M. Vasquez, common spelling. Thank you.
Ms. Helen?
Yes, Your Honor, that is our understanding of the plea. We do stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID. It's a probated sentence, so I'm asking for the probation fees to be waived. And if once those conditions are completed, if it can be non-reporting.
Do we have a good address on Mr. Johnson?
Judge, he is residentially challenged currently. However, I do have a working phone number.
All right. Probation, Ms. Vaughn, are you satisfied with just a phone number?
As long as the number is correct, then that'll be fine. If it's working, that'll be fine.
Mr. Johnson, can you give us your working phone number?
404-840. My working phone number?
Yes.
I don't know that by heart.
You gave me a 404 at 840 or 4352. Is that not a good working number?
That's my number.
Okay.
Probation, I'm going to require him to report to your office on Tuesday, June 7th, okay, at 132 Mitchell Street. All right.
That'll be fine.
And Ms. Helen, we stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID, yes?
Yes, Judge.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson, you have heard the terms of the plea offer. First of all, have you taken any medication or consumed any alcohol recently?
No, ma'am.
And are you satisfied with the representation you've received so far?
Yes, ma'am.
If you decide to take this plea, you do understand that you'll be on probation and that you're required to maintain contact with probation every month. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And is anyone forcing you to take this plea today?
No, ma'am.
And are you doing so freely, knowingly, and voluntarily?
Yes, ma'am.
I can't hear you, sir.
My throat, yes, ma'am.
Are you taking this plea freely, knowingly, and voluntarily?
Guilty. Yes.
Are you taking this plea voluntarily on your own free will?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Listen very carefully. If you decide that you want to take this plea and plead guilty, you will not be able to go back to court to have a trial before a judge or jury. You would have to give up that right. In addition, you would have to give up your rights to confront your accuser, challenge the state's evidence, present your own defenses, examine witnesses, and have the state try to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up all these constitutional rights?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to one count of battery, domestic violence, and criminal trespass? How do you plead?
Guilty, ma'am, guilty, sorry.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 30 days. Credit for time served 15 days. If you have no other cases holding you at the jail, you will be released within 24 hours. You must report to the probation office located at 132 Mitchell Street by next Tuesday, June 7th, 2022. Today is June 2nd. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am, I understand.
Did I get the right date? Yeah, June 7th. That office is at 132 Mitchell Street in downtown Atlanta. While you're on probation, you will complete a domestic violence intervention program. Will you be able to enroll in that program within 60 days? Would you be able to start the program within 60 days?
Yes, ma'am.
You know you have to pay for the program out of your own pocket.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You need to pay $300 as restitution for the damaged phone. You cannot return to Savannah Suites Motel at 140 Pine Street in Northeast Atlanta. Do you have any belongings that you need to pick up?
Yes, ma'am, I got all my stuff there, my clothes and my shoes, everything is there.
Well, I don't know if it's still there, but you can go back one time only with a police officer to retrieve your belongings.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
And at all times, you have to have no contact with Rosine Vasquez. I assume that's someone at the motel. You have to stay 200 yards away from that person and not have any contact with this individual. Okay, I'll waive your probation fees for the next 8 months and make sure that you complete all the terms of your probation. After 8 months, you will continue to report to probation and start paying probation fees. Understood?
Understood, ma'am.
So you'll need to get a job real soon.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your Honor,
Mr. Raines. Come on, Mr. Raines.
Your Honor, could we bring back Mr. Boyens for the DUI case? In his
Yeah.
case, the original negotiated plea did include a victim impact panel. I misheard you and we're not suspending it. It was originally supposed to be in it.
Well, I already sentenced him, so is
Ah.
that, okay? Okay, well,
Judge,
yeah,
this is Dennis Murphy.
yeah. Is that your
Judge-
client?
No, Judge. Pardon me for interrupting. I've got one case, Karen Daniel.
Daniel? Francois, do you have a Daniel in courtroom 2?
Is Mr. Daniel in here?
It should be Karen Daniel, female.
Oh, that's on the add-on, I think.
Yes, Judge.
No, it's not.
On the competency calendar, Judge.
It's a female, they said.
It's on the competency calendar.
Was she even pulled up?
Probably not, Judge.
Okay,
She's at Georgia Regional Judge, I think. The case was dead docketed. I think it was just reset for status.
all right. Mr. Howard, would you agree with that status of the case?
Yes, in part, Ms. Crawford wanted to address the case because the dead docket wasn't really what she was asking for or thought was going to happen from my conversation with her. I don't know if she explained that to you, Mr. Murphy, but I think she wanted to talk with you further about kind of where the case needed to go.
Okay, Mr. Murphy, if that's the only case you have, I would recommend you contact Mr. Derek Howard on phone and get.
Or Ms. Crawford, actually. Yeah,
Ms. Crawford. Okay,
Yeah.
could you put the phone number in the chat to Mr. Dennis Murphy? She's most likely not going to be called, not appear.
Right.
So,
Okay, Judge.
She
All
is
right.
at the hospital. Yes, yes.
All right.
Yes, and that's what I was going to advise the court. I'd heard from her in Milledgeville a couple days ago, so I know
Okay.
she was still there. But I guess yes, Ms. Crawford for the state wanted to address her issue after she had been there for 90 days.
All right.
And
So
that was-
go ahead and her phone number should be sent to you in the chat, and please contact her because I won't be
Thank
able
you,
to
Judge.
use that. Thank you.
Thank you.
All
Appreciate
right.
it.
Sorry about that. Courtroom 2, could you refresh my memory? Who do we have?
Position 18, Mr. Reed.
Thank you. Zesman Reams is accused of 2 counts of simple battery in case number 20 CR 003655F. Mr. Reams, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your counsel is going to be Ms. Catrice Helen. Ms. Helen, what's the announcement?
It's a negotiated plea, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Reams, may I place you under oath? Do you solemnly swear and affirm? Right hand up, please.
Right hand up.
Yeah. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Ms. Sowry, what's the recommendation for Mr. Reams?
Yes, Your Honor, the state's recommendation is 12 months to serve 44 days, credit for time served 44, the balance probated, a 4-week anger management course, and no contact with victims Danny Davenport and Adam Martin. Nothing further.
Do we have a stay away?
There is a stay away that was originally sent over, but this happened outside.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's no stay away. All right. Thank you. Ms. Helen?
Yes, Your Honor, that is our understanding of that plea. We stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID. This is a probated sentence. We are asking for those probation fees to be waived. Once that condition is completed, can it be non-reporting?
Any objection to non-reporting?
No.
Ms. Sowry? Okay. 4 weeks, so I guess I'll waive probation fees for 3 months, which is June, July, and August. Okay. Mr. Reams, have you consumed any medicine or alcohol recently?
No, ma'am.
And have you understood the proceedings so far?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with the representation you've received so far?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you entering a plea willingly, knowingly, and voluntarily?
Yes, ma'am.
If you decide to enter this plea, you would have to give up your constitutional rights to have a trial before a judge or a jury. You would not have a trial. You would not have the assistance of counsel. You will not have the ability to challenge the state's evidence, confront your accuser, examine witnesses, and have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up all these rights?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to the 2 counts of simple battery?
Guilty.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 44 days, credit for time served 44 days. You'll be released within 24 hours to be placed on probation unless you have any other holds at the jail. You report to probation by next Tuesday. Make sure you update your contact information with the probation office. While on probation, you will complete a 4-week anger management program at any qualified agency. You are also not to have any contact with Danny Davenport and Adam Martin. Your probation will be non-reporting once you've completed the anger management classes. Your probation fees are waived for the months of June, July, and August of this year. And once you've completed the anger management classes, your probation will be non-reporting. Thank you.
You're done. Position 10, Mr. Harper.
And that's a negotiated plea, Your Honor.
Okay. Let's go. I think I've done all these ones. This is Diallo, Colston, Harper, case number 18 CR 0036338. Mr. Harper, your case number is from a May 14th, 2016 matter in which you have been accused of operating a vehicle on a suspended or revoked license or a lane direction violation. You've been advised of your right to remain silent. Your attorney is Ms. Catrice Helen, and I understand this is going to be a negotiated plea. So please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide for this plea hearing will be the truth to the best of your knowledge? All right. Could you hear me?
Yes, yes.
And do you so swear?
Try to speak up, Harper, so she can hear you.
All right.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Harper, you and I are going to be having a conversation, so please be sure that I can hear you. You will need to speak up, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Segura, what is the recommendation for Mr. Harper?
And the state's recommendation is 12 months to serve 18 days, credit to time served 9 days, balance suspended. Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor. That is our understanding of the plea. We do stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID.
All right. Mr. Harper, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No, ma'am.
And are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes.
And are you entering this plea freely, voluntarily, and knowingly?
Yes.
Now, if you take this plea, you will not be able to go back to court to have a trial, to confront your accuser, present any defenses, examine witnesses, and have the prosecutor try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes.
How do you plead to driving with a suspended or revoked license and a lane direction violation?
Yes.
How do you plead to the two charges I've just listed?
Yes.
Oh, are you falling asleep, Mr. Harper?
Yes, ma'am. I hear you. I hear you.
So how are you pleading? Guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
Your sentence is time served. You're not allowed to operate a vehicle unless you have a valid driver's license, proper registration, adequate automobile insurance, and that you are wide awake. Good luck.
All right, you're done, Mr. Harper.
Where are we? If I release it?
Come on, I'm gonna explain it to you at the end. Position 2, Mr. Bras.
He's still asleep. Did you say position 2?
Yes,
Yeah.
Judge.
He's on the competency calendar, Judge.
Alex Bras is case number 22 CR 0015568, accused of criminal trespass from March 17, 2022. Mr. Bras, you've been advised of your right to remain silent. Anything you say about the facts, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and representing you is Mr. Derek Howard. What are we doing, Mr. Howard?
Judge, it is a negotiated plea, and we do stipulate factual basis, venue, and ID in that case.
Thank you. And what is the terms of the plea, Mr. Walker?
Yes, Your Honor, it's going to be a time served plea, balance suspended with the stay away condition of 484 Moreland Avenue. And that's a shopping plaza.
Okay.
Little 5 points.
And I have 72 days. I think it's longer than that. Is it 78?
It is 78, Judge, but
78 days, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Bras, may I place you under oath, please?
Yes, Your Honor.
Raise your right hand. Oh, you froze up, Courtroom 2. All right, Courtroom 2, you're okay. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Browse, you can put your hand down. Have you consumed any alcohol or medication recently?
None that I wasn't prescribed.
Okay, but have you understood the proceedings so far, and have you understood your attorney?
Yes.
And are you satisfied with this representation?
Yes.
And Is anyone forcing you to take a plea today?
No, Your Honor.
If you decide to take this plea, you would not be able to challenge this charge in a court of law. You would not have the assistance of counsel to confront your accuser, to present your own defenses, challenge the state's evidence, and have the state try to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, Your Honor.
How do you plead to one count of criminal trespass?
Guilty.
Your sentence is time served. Once you are released, you would need to stay away from the entire shopping plaza at 484 Moreland Avenue in 5 Points, Atlanta. Understood?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Position 21, Mr. Trappenburg.
This is on the main SAP calendar, position 21, State versus Daniel John Trappenburg, 22 CR 001689Y. Mr. Trappenburg has been accused of theft by shoplifting and simple battery from a March 23rd, 2022 incident. Mr.
Your Honor, I
Trappenburg,
have an announcement. Attorney Judy Kim is his counsel. She does currently have another hearing in Superior Court. She asked if we could hold Mr. Trappenburg to the end of the calendar. She's going to try to make it. This will be a negotiated plea. If she's not back in time, she just asked that he be reset for Tuesday so we could take the plea at that time. She was on the line earlier, but she had to go to Superior Court.
understood. Mr. Howard, is this something that you would be able to handle in place of Ms. Kim, since it's a negotiated plea?
Unfortunately, no, Judge, we wouldn't be able to do that.
All right. Deputy Francois, we have to hold for Attorney Judy Kim.
Position 15, Mr. Lane.
And that's a negotiated plea, Your Honor.
We have State versus Andrew Lane, 19 CR 009137Y, accused of simple battery domestic violence from November 12, 2019. Mr. Lane, you've been advised of your right to remain silent. Your attorney is Catrice Helen. May I place you on oath for purposes of the plea? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Ms. Sowry?
Yes, Your Honor. The state's recommendation in this case is 12 months to serve 12 days, credit for time served 12 days, the balance probated, FIB, no contact with the victim, Gerald Coleman, and a stay away from the incident location. And that address is, I will have to grab that, sorry.
All right. While we're waiting on that, Ms. Helen?
I apologize, Judge. This is a negotiated plea, but the only thing we are not agreeing on is the stay away. I believe Mr. Andrew Lane's name is on a lease there with Mr. Coleman. So I would ask if the stay away could be removed, but he understands about the probation as well as the 6 violence intervention classes, Judge.
So this is no contact with Gerald Coleman, is that correct?
Correct.
But
And no violent.
Ms. Sowry,
Yes.
was that no violent contact or?
We recommended no contact.
That's what I thought. So if it's a negotiated plea, what's the dispute then? So this is a non-negotiated plea.
Yes, Judge. So when I spoke to Mr. Lane, he's under the impression Mr. Coleman is willing to have him back at that location. So we are asking for the stay away and the no contact to be removed.
Is there a Gerald Coleman on the Zoom? All right.
Your Honor, we haven't been able to reach him, so we would just ask for that no contact order to be imposed, and if they want to modify the conditions, that they could do that at a later date.
And Judge, without that address, he'd be homeless. So
No, I
his
know.
name is on the 241 Troy Street Northwest, Apartment 8, Atlanta, Georgia, 30314.
Who do I have for pre-trial right now? Miss Bostic.
Yes, Judge.
Miss Kim, I'll be with you very shortly. Miss Bostic, have we had any issues with Mr. Andrew Lynn since
No, Judge.
it's November 12th, 2019?
No, his last thing appears to be way before this, about 15 years ago.
All right. So, and let me see. And his address has always been Troy Street. Is that
Apartment 8?
A8?
Yes, Your Honor, I have A8. That's what I have for Mr. Lane's.
So, Miss Sari, unless you have something different, could you show cause why I should make it no further contact? It appears that he's been living there without any issues since then.
Your Honor, we haven't been able to reach the victim. So without speaking with the victim, we were not in a position to issue a no or request a no further violent contact, but we will defer to the court for the ruling.
I'll go with no further violent contact. If Mr. Lane has been living peacefully there for the last couple of years, well, then he's now going to be under the court order to continue to live peacefully with Mr. Gerald Coleman. Okay. All right. Anything else, Ms. Sari? Anything else to add?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
And Ms.
Nothing from the
Helen,
defense.
we stipulate factual basis, venue, and ID. Yes?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Lane, you've already been sworn for these purposes. Are you under any medication or have you consumed any alcohol recently?
No, ma'am.
And despite the legal talk that has been going on, have you understood everything so far?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you satisfied with Miss Helen?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. If you decide to enter this plea today, you have to do so freely, willingly, and voluntarily. Are you prepared to do so?
Yes, ma'am.
And you would have to give up your right to go back to court, to have a trial, to confront your accuser, examine witnesses, and have the state try to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to do so?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to one count of simple battery domestic violence from November 2019 involving one Gerald Coleman?
Guilty.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 12 days, credit for time served 12 days. You'll be released and placed on probation. Probation will send you a date to come and report to them at the Troy Street location. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
And while on probation, you will enroll in a domestic violence intervention program. I will waive all probation fees, so please be sure to enroll and complete the program as soon as possible.
Yes, ma'am.
If you want to continue living with Mr. Gerald Coleman, if both of you still occupy the same apartment, you are to have no further violent contact with him. In other words, no physical or verbal altercations that would require police intervention. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Good luck, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Position 16, McCarthy.
And that's a negotiated plea, Your Honor.
You sure, Miss Helen?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Caleb James McCarthy is case number 22 CR 003325, 003285Y. Mr. McCarthy was accused of theft by taking and criminal trespass from a March 29, 2022 incident. Mr. McCarthy, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Miss Helen. I understand this is going to be a negotiated plea. May I place you under oath? Mr. McCarthy, please, oh, is it frozen again? Okay. Mr. McCarthy, can you hear me?
Yes.
May I place you under oath? You need to raise your right hand. That's how we swear people in. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
You may place your hand down. Ms. Sari, what's the plea offer?
Yes, Your Honor, the recommendation is 12 months to serve 64 days, credit for time served 64 days, the balance probated, an anti-theft course, no contact with the victim, Aaron Williams, and a stay away from 1133 Huff Road in Atlanta.
Ms. Helen?
Yes, Your Honor, that is our understanding of the plea. We do stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID. It is a probated sentence, so we are asking for the probation fees to be waived. Once he completes the anti-theft course, can it be non-reporting?
Any objection, Ms. Sari?
No objection to non-reporting, but I would like to make a note that I believe he does have a felony hold.
Okay. Are you aware of that, Ms. Helen?
Yes, Judge.
Okay. All right. Mr. McCarthy, first of all, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No.
And you've been talking to Ms. Helen. Have you understood the proceedings so far?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you satisfied with her representation?
Yes, ma'am.
If you decide to take this plea, you would have to do so freely, willingly, and knowingly. Are you prepared to do so?
Yes, ma'am.
And is anyone forcing you to take a plea today?
No, ma'am.
In taking this plea, you understand that you will only be placed on probation once you've been released from holds on any other cases. Is that your understanding?
Yes, ma'am.
And also, if you take this plea, you would have to give up your rights to go back to court to challenge this case in a court of law. You will not be able to have a trial before a judge or a jury. You will not be able to confront your accuser, present any defenses, challenge the state's evidence, and have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to 1 count of theft by taking and 1 count of criminal trespass?
Yes.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 64 days, credit for time served 64 days. Once you've been released on all holds, you'll be required to report to the probation office by the next business day within 48 hours of release. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
You will be completing an anti-theft class while you're on probation. You're not to have any contact with Aaron Williams, to stay 200 yards away from this person and not communicate with this person in any way, form, or manner. And you're to stay 200 yards away from 1133 Cuff Road in Atlanta, Georgia. I will waive your probation fees for the first 2 months after your release. So do be sure to complete your anti-theft class as soon as possible so that your probation will be non-reporting after that. Thank you. I heard cuff. Was it huff or cuff?
Huff, Your Honor, Huff.
Huff. I know of a huff, I don't know of a cuff. Okay.
Going back to position 21, Trappenburg.
Ms. Kim is present to represent Mr. Trappenburg. And I understand this is going to be a negotiated plea, yes?
Judge, I have not had a chance to relay the offer to my client. So I wanted to see if I could relay it quickly, and then hopefully he'll accept the offer.
Okay, you're on a phone right now, so I don't know whether it multitask. The phone number at his location is 404-61.
404-612.
2392.
Okay, Judge, may I step off and just call him briefly?
Yeah, just don't lose the Zoom link, okay?
I won't. Thank you, Judge. Thank
you. Who do we have, please?
Position 1, Baker.
This is from our add-on calendar. We have Kashan Baker, accused of criminal trespass in case number 22 CR 002750J. Mr. Baker, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Catrice Helen. Announcement?
Negotiated plea, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Baker, if you please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the information you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Segura, what is the recommendation, please?
The state's recommendation is 12 months to serve 60 days, credit for time served 30 days, ban suspended, and abide by Malta suspension of 14 days, which starts from June the 3rd and ends at June the 17th, 2022. Thank you.
Ms. Helen, do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Baker, have you consumed any medication or drugs recently?
No, ma'am.
And have you understood the proceedings so far?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you satisfied with your counsel?
Yes, ma'am.
If you decide to take this plea, you would have to give up your constitutional right to have a trial in front of a judge or a jury. You won't be able to challenge the state's evidence, confront your accuser, examine witnesses, as well as have the state try to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you entering a plea freely, knowingly, and voluntarily?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to one count of criminal trespass at Malta?
I plead guilty.
The sentence is 12 months to serve 60 days, credit for time served 30 days. The balance of the 12 months is suspended. So this is a time served sentence. You cannot return to any Malta property, use their trains or buses, or use their amenities such as the bathrooms or the parking lots until June 18th, 2022. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
If you return to any of their properties before June 18th, you will be arrested and brought back to jail.
Understood.
So you have a couple more weeks to go before you can get back on Malta.
No problem.
Thank you.
Come on, Mr. Trappenburg. Going back to position 21, Trappenburg.
Okay. All right, Mr. Trappenburg, this is case 22 CR 0016889Y, theft by shoplifting and simple battery. Mr. Trappenburg has been advised of his rights. His attorney is Judy Kim. And as soon as she is let in from the waiting room,
I think she logged all the way out, Judge, so she may be coming back soon.
yeah, she just. I think I've got all the documents so far, Melissa.
Yes.
A few more. Deputy, we had somebody else sitting in the courtroom. Did they leave? Yeah. Oh, for the 2 o'clock. Okay.
You ready on?
All right, Miss Kim, is she with us?
Not yet. Judge.
All right. And Miss Watson Cafe, have you spoken to your client?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Your client is Brown, right? Mr. Brown?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what's the announcement for that case?
We're going to seek, we're going to move forward with a non-negotiated plea.
Okay. Miss Judy Kim is still trying to log on.
We'll just hold off on your case.
Yeah, let's go with Brown, and once Miss Kim shows up, we'll know she's in. Okay. Okay, Robert Milton Brown is accused of misdemeanor possession of marijuana and battery domestic violence from August 21st, 2021, case number 21 CR 004390D. He's represented by conflict counsel, Ms. Zakia Watson Cafe. And Mr. Brown, this is going to be a non-negotiated plea. So which means I'm going to hear from the prosecutor first, and then I'm going to hear from your attorney. Based on the allegations, the circumstances of the cases, and your criminal record history, I will make a determination of which recommendation I will accept. I also have the discretion to disregard any plea offer and schedule the case for trial. So please keep that in mind before you move forward with this plea hearing. Mr. Segura, what's the recommendation from the estate?
Mr. Brown actually has two cases, and I'm wondering if the negotiated plea is for both of them, or is it just for the battery and possession of marijuana?
Okay, no, I'm sorry, I did not know that, so probably that's my bad. He does have a second case, it's position number 4, and that case is 22 CR 003-067D. Possession and use of drug-related objects and fare evasion. So first of all, tell me what is the recommendation for the fare evasion and drug-related object from May of 2022?
Okay, for the possession of drug and use-related object and fare evasion, that is 12 months to serve 70 days, credit for time served 35 days, bond suspended, and a stairway for the Inmount Park Malta located at 1055 DeKalb Avenue, Northeast Atlanta.
Okay, so for position 4 is a time served plea and stay away from that model location. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So then we move on to position number 3, where is battery, domestic violence, and possession of marijuana from an August 21st, 2021 incident. And what is the state's offer there?
The state's offer is 12 months to serve.
Okay. And how many more months does he have left?
I could check.
How many days has he served in total? Ms. Kim will be with you very shortly. Please do not leave.
He's been in since the 18th, Your Honor, of May. And then because that was an earlier case, he served, it looks like 15 days first.
Okay.
Did I do that right?
So he may have 11 more months, give or take a
Yes,
few.
it would be around 11, yes.
All right.
I explained the facts as to why we decided to do 12 months.
Yes, sir.
Okay, it occurred on August the 21st, 2021. And this incident also responded to a domestic dispute at the incident location. They spoke with a Miss Daki Benson, Daki spelled D-A-Q-I-Y, Benson, common spelling, who said that she was attacked by the defendant in her apartment, and both reside at that incident location and apartment F408. At that point, the defendant struck her in the face, which caused a busted lip. Then he got on top of her and held her down before she bit him to try to get him off her. At that point, the defendant went into her closet and got a gun and then went out. Police arrested the defendant who was outside the apartment, but they were unable to find a gun. And at that point, the defendant tried to make up a lie as to say Miss Benson had a gun. In this case, we spoke with Miss Benson, who said that they argued, got physical, and things got out of hand. Then at that point, she said that the weapon belonged to an ex-boyfriend who left it there, and that he did have it at some point, but then she's trying to conflict it by saying that he was trying to prevent Miss Benson from getting a gun. But regardless, we noticed that the gun does have an existence. It was in the possession of the defendant, and then he also, at some point, it became missing while in his possession. And we also want to make known, we also have pre-trial to notice history, because we do notice that in Nevada, there was an arrest for 2016 gun possession, and also a family battery body injury in Texas in 2013.
All right. Ms. Bostic, do you have the GCIC for Robert Milton Brown?
Yes, no, Your Honor. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said Watson.
Oh, no, sorry. Ms. Bostic, she's our pretrial officer. Ms. Bostic?
Judge, I have a 2019 aggravated assault conviction and a 21 aggravated assault conviction. For Damon Bradbury?
Robert Milton Brown.
Robert Milton Brown?
Position 3 and 4.
Oh, okay. I have 14 prior arrests, open cases for misdemeanor possession and a battery.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I have.
Any prior arrests for DV battery or simple battery or anything to that effect? Any violence?
The open case 21 CR 004390D?
Yeah, that's the one we're dealing with right now.
That's the only one I have.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Ms. Watson Cafe, what's your argument, please?
Our recommendation for this case is also a time served offer, Your Honor. This case, as has even been admitted by the state, is heavily disputed with respect to whether or not Mr. Brown was ever in possession of a firearm during this altercation. It's my understanding that Mr. Brown received a signature bond previously on the 2021 case. Because of that, it's my understanding that the alleged victim in the case came to the court and testified, or appeared at the first appearance and testified that the gun was indeed not Mr. Brown's firearm. That being said, Your Honor, we are asking for again, a time served offer. I have spoken to Mr. Brown. He has indicated that he is in dire need of medical care. He's still recovering from 3 gunshot wounds that he incurred back in October of last year. Also, he was recently last week, shortly before his arrest, was a victim of a car accident. Prior to his arrest, he was actively in receiving medical care in the Brady system for both of these injuries. He currently has a 6-year-old daughter who he provides for financially and emotionally, that he would continue to do. He has a GED as far as his education. As you heard, he doesn't have any prior violent arrests, and we would be asking for Mr. Brown to be released on a time served sentence because of that. It would most important.
I'm sorry to interject. I'm sorry. I thought you were finished. I needed to correct something. I was looking at the wrong history on Mr. Brown. He actually do have 2 prior domestic violence conviction out of Nevada in 2016. And last conviction there was a false statement, obstruction of public office in 2017.
Okay. Ms. Watson Cafe, even if I hadn't heard the subsequent charges, I'm not placing him on a time served on a battery domestic violence. It would have to be probation. There would have to be family violence intervention program. There would have to be, under the circumstances, no contact with the victim, stay away from the location, and he would have to be on active probation. I'm just not comfortable putting him on a time serve on a DV case where the allegations indicate that the victim sustained visible injuries.
Okay, Mr. Brown, did you understand that it wouldn't be a time served, you'd be subject to probation, a 12-month probation period, and it'd be active probation, reporting probation?
Yeah, I can handle that, but I did the domestic violence classes on OR on my walker. Like, I did everything I was supposed to. The only reason, like I said, it happened because I got my stuff stolen from me. Like, I was on a walk.
Right, but you would still be on probation.
I understand I can handle it. I just want to take care of it. I'm trying to move on in my life. I don't have like this stuff has been chaotic, it's traumatizing. I have my own personal issues. I'm trying to move
When
on.
did you do your domestic violence classes?
As soon as I got out, the lady's name, from the pretrial, like I had a good relationship with my pretrial, and I even came there to see you in the law. And anyhow,
And do you have a certificate from completion of the program?
it was in my email, but y'all, if it's on the record, I promise it's on my record. I promise you, it's on my record. You can charge me with lying.
Okay. That's fine. I'm going to have you to do it again.
I did it over Zoom like this. It was a class like this right here, and I did it all.
Mr. Brown,
Yeah.
I want you to do it again.
I will, man. I have no problem. I have no problem taking care of it.
All right. This is a non-negotiated plea based on the circumstances and the allegations given the time date of the offense. Although Mr. Robert Brown does have prior DV convictions from out of state, another jurisdiction, the court is going to accept the defense's recommendation as long as Mr. Robert Brown understands that he will be on probation, active probation. He'll be reporting to probation every month. He needs to enroll in a new domestic violence intervention program within 30 days of being released. He must report to probation by next Tuesday.
Yeah.
And he's to have no contact with, let me get her name right. I beg your pardon? What'd you say?
I thought is the name, the Kai, Miss Judge, Your Honor.
What did he say?
The Kai, the name, ma'am, I'm sorry.
He was giving you the name, Your Honor, of the victim in the case.
I'm going to pull it. I'd rather just take it from the pleadings. Okay, hang on. No further contact with Dagley, D-A-G-L-Y, last name Benson. L-Y. I'm just taking it off the pleadings. Okay. All right, Mr. Brown, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No, Your Honor.
And are you satisfied with the representation you received from Ms. Watson Cafe?
Most certainly, Your Honor, yes, ma'am.
Certainly not.
Most certainly, Your Honor. Yes,
Most
ma'am.
certainly. Okay, I'm sorry. I know, no, you don't have to take it off, but you just need to make sure you speak clearly and loudly.
Yes, ma'am.
Has anyone induced you or forced you to take this plea today?
No, ma'am.
And are you doing so freely, knowingly, and voluntarily?
Yes, ma'am.
If you decide to take this plea today for both these cases, you would have to give up your constitutional rights to go back to court to have a trial before a judge or a jury. You would give up your rights to have the assistance of counsel so that you could challenge the state's evidence, so that you could confront your accuser, examine the witnesses who testify against you, as well as have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt, because they have the sole burden of proof. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead in case number 22 CR 003067D to fair evasion at MARTA and possession and use of drug-related objects?
Guilty.
Your 10th sentence is time served. So having served 35 days, and you are to stay away from, I'm going to have you stay away from all MARTA locations until your suspension is complete. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
With regards to case 21 CR 004390D, how do you plead to 1 count of battery and 1 count of possession of marijuana less than 1 ounce?
Guilty.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 70 days, credit for time served 35 days. That's what I've got. Is that correct, Ms. Watson Cafe?
I have that he served 45 days, actual days.
All right, let me go. Well, Mr. Brown in the battery case is 12 months to serve 45 days, credit for time served 45 days, balance probated. While he's on probation, he will report to probation by next Tuesday at 132 Mitchell Street. He will enroll in a domestic violence intervention program within 30 days of being released. He will have no further contact with Dagley Benson to stay 200 yards away from her and not communicate with her in any way, form or manner. He's to make sure that he stays away from the incident location, stay away from her residence, her place of employment, or anywhere where she happens to be located. Mr. Brown, you're not to possess any weapons or firearms. You cannot possess any weapons or firearms, and you're to not consume any illegal drugs, which includes marijuana, and you're not to consume any alcohol. You will be subject to random screens while you're on active probation. You will report to probation every month, and there will be no excuses with regards to non-reporting. You will be reporting every month. I will waive your probation fees for the first 6 months, after which you will start paying probation fees after 6 months. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
If you violate any of the conditions of your bond, your sentence will be revoked. Your probation will be revoked.
No,
Thank you.
thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Ms. Watson.
Come on, Mr.
Thank
Jones.
you. Can someone at the jail give him my phone number so he can call me when he gets out?
Yeah, just place in the chat to Courtroom 2. All right, thank you. All right,
Thank
Mr. Trappenburg, I think he has worn a path walking up and down between the bench and the chair. Okay. All right, Ms. Kim. Mr. Trappenburg has been advised of his rights and so forth. The offer from this is your client going forward with a negotiated plea?
Yes, Judge, he is.
All right, Mr.
And your,
Trappenburg.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Mr. Walker. Mr. Trappenburg, do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
I do, Your Honor.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Walker. What were you going to say?
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Your Honor. I was just going to say it is a negotiated plea. However, it is a modified plea from what was sent out yesterday and what you might have in front of you. And I was just letting the court know that we have modified the plea.
All right. Let me know what it is.
Okay, the current plea offer on the table is 12 months to serve, 140 days, credit for time served of 72 days, balance suspended with the condition of a stay away from all Home Depots within Fulton County.
All right. Ms. Kim?
Yes, Judge, that's correct. Do you want me to speak on behalf of my client or wait till?
No, do you
after?
stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
Yes, Judge.
All right, that's good. Thank you. Mr. Trappenburg, you've already had some discussions with your attorney, and hopefully you have understood the proceedings and the explanations provided so far,
Yes, Your Honor.
and you've not consumed any medication or alcohol?
No, Your Honor.
Well, Judge, hold on. Judge, he is taking prescribed medication.
Oh, prescribed, yes. prescribed.
Okay, and has this medication, are you still able to understand the proceedings so far?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, are you satisfied with the representation of your attorney?
Yes, Your Honor.
If you decide to take this plea offer, you would need to stay away from all Home Depot stores, but just to let you know, a lot of these Home Depot stores tend to share information, so I'm not sure you're welcome in any Home Depot store. So you take your freedom in your hands if you visit any Home Depot store from now on.
I understand, Your Honor.
All right. If you decide to take this plea, you would have to give up your constitutional rights to go back to court, to have the assistance of counsel, to be able to challenge these charges in a court of law. You would not be able to present any defenses, confront your accuser, examine witnesses, and have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you doing so freely, knowingly, and voluntarily?
Yes, Your Honor.
How do you plead to one count of theft by shoplifting and one count of simple battery?
Guilty, Your Honor.
This will be a guilty conviction on your record for theft by shoplifting. If you accrue 3 or more theft by shoplifting convictions, any subsequent arrest for theft by shoplifting will be a felony charge. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 140 days, credit for time served 72 days. Given the 2-for-1, your time at the jail is concluded. If you have no other holds, you should be released within 24 hours. The remainder of your sentence is suspended. You have to stay away from all Home Depot stores in Fulton County. But like I said, you take your risk in entering any Home Depot store.
Your Honor, may I have my attorney call me again? I can't use the phones here still for 60 days. So if she could call me again, there's a question about another case.
All right.
Call me at the courtroom here. Thank you.
Sure. Ms. Kim, if you could please call the courtroom back. Mr. Trappenburg has an additional question about an unrelated case.
Come on, Mr. Jones.
Thank you. Next case, please. Courtroom 2.
Section 12, Jones.
The negotiated plea, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Helen. This is Jermaine Jones. Is that correct?
Yes.
Mr. Jones, your case number is 22 CR 003-078H. You've been accused of criminal trespass and theft by shoplifting from a May 14th, 2022 incident, and you are represented by Ms. Catrice Helen. May I place you under oath?
Other
Please-
muted.
Every time I ask that question, the screen freezes, so. All right. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Segura, what's the recommendation from Mr. Jones?
The state's recommendation is 12 months to serve 34 days, credit for time served 17 days, balance probated, and anti-theft course, and a stay away from Walmart located at 4735 State Road 138, Union City. Thank you.
Any objection to non-reporting after the anti-theft class?
There is no objection.
All right, thank you. Ms. Helen?
Yes, Your Honor, that is our understanding of the plea. We stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID.
Thank you.
We also ask for the probation fees to be waived. This is a probated sentence.
All right, I'll waive probation fees for June and July. Mr. Jones, have you consumed any medicine or alcohol recently?
Yes, but none that will impair my judgment.
He's the last one.
All right, and have you, are you satisfied with the representation of your attorney?
Yes, I am.
Is anyone forcing you to take a plea today?
No.
In taking this plea, you would have to give up your rights to a trial, to have the assistance of counsel, to confront your accuser, examine witnesses, present your defenses, and have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, I am.
How do you plead to one count of criminal trespass and one count of theft by shoplifting?
Guilty.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 34 days, credit for time served 17 days. If you have no other holds at the jail, you should be released within 24 hours. You have to report to probation by next Tuesday at 132 Mitchell Street in Atlanta, Georgia. While on probation, you will complete an anti-theft class by a qualified program. And at all times for the rest of your sentence, you have to stay away from the Walmart located at 4735 State Road 138 in Union City. Just like Home Depot, Walmart posts your picture in all their stores. So I would recommend you stay away from all Walmart stores. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any questions about your sentence?
No.
Your probation fees are waived for the months of June and July. If you complete your anti-theft class, your probation will be non-reporting. Thank you.
Wait, one quick question. Do I gotta pay for the anti-theft class?
Yes,
Yeah. Okay.
thank you. Courtroom Two, any more?
Yes, Judge, position 19, Mr. Spires.
And that's a negotiated plea, Your Honor.
Okay. Joshua Spires, 20 CR 0039158, is accused of simple battery domestic violence from April 22nd, 2020. You all comfortable, Mr. Spires?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Mrs. Spires, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Catrice Helen. May I place you under oath? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Ms. Zari, what's the recommendation?
Yes, Your Honor, the state's recommendation is 12 months to serve 40 days, credit for time served 17 days, the balance probated, an FFIB, and no contact with the victim, and a stay away from the incident location. That is, I'm pulling that up now. Is Walmart 6055 State Road 14 in Union City. And the victim's name is spelled Nicya. Last name is Williams. And if they have any children, third-party transfer.
And I'm sorry, you said stay away from where?
It's Walmart, 6055 State Road 14.
Okay, is that the incident location?
Yes, Your Honor. It happened inside of a Walmart.
Okay. Walmart at State Road 14 in Union City. Okay. I think it was Nakia Williams.
Nicya Williams.
Okay, got it. All right, thank you, Ms. Sorry, Ms. Helen?
Yes, Judge, we do stipulate to the factual basis, venue and ID. It is a probated sentence. We're asking for those probation fees to be waived. And if the state is amenable, non-reporting after completing the conditions.
All right. Any objection to non-reporting?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Spires, have you consumed any medicine or alcohol recently?
No, ma'am.
And have you understood the proceedings so far?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
Is anyone forcing you to take this plea today?
No, ma'am.
So you're doing so freely, voluntarily, knowingly, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And please understand that by taking this plea, you will not be able to go back to court to have a trial in front of a judge or a jury. You will not be able to have the assistance of counsel so that you could challenge the state's case, present your own defenses, examine witnesses, confront your accuser, and have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to one count of simple battery, domestic violence?
Guilty.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 40 days. Credit for time served, 17 days. You have 3 more days to serve at the Fulton County Jail. Is that your understanding?
Yes, ma'am. I understand.
After you have served the 3 additional days, you will report to probation within 48 hours of being released. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
And that must be done at 132 Mitchell Street in downtown Atlanta. Once you're on probation, you will enroll in a domestic violence intervention program, and that must be done within 60 days of being released. While on probation, you're also to have no contact with Ms. Williams, first name Nicya. You're to stay 200 yards away from her. You're not to communicate with her in any way, form, or manner. Would that be a problem?
No, ma'am, it would not.
All right. And you cannot return to the Walmart at State Road 14 in Union City. Are you familiar with that Walmart?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. That's the one store in the whole world that you cannot enter.
I understand.
Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I'm going to waive all your probation fees. You will continue to report to probation every month because you'll not be paying probation fees. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're completed here in courtroom 2, Judge.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I don't think we have any other reports, so I'm going to go over the current calendars and then address the competency calendar. Okay, I hope on the add-on calendar, I know we had a bunch of additional, so let's see. On the add-on calendar that we have, position on Kashan Baker, that was a negotiated plea. Jerome Boykins, that was a plea. Damian Bradbury is position 3 and 4. That's been reset to June 9. And Mr. Jordan, we would need conflict counsel for Mr. Damian Bradbury. Alexis Brown was a plea. And the 6th case, Osterlu, was a plea. Are there any additional cases on the add-on which I've not addressed? No, we good? Okay. On the regular SAP calendar, Bishop was a plea. Boykins, again, was a plea. Position 3 and 4, Robert Brown were pleas. Antoine Carter was a plea. Colbert was a plea. 7, Dixon was a plea. 8, Finley plea 9 Gold has been reset to June 9. Mr. Finley, I assume that we'll have to clarify with her exactly what she wants to do.
Yes, yes, I will talk with her again.
All
Yes,
right,
ma'am.
thank you. Position 10, Harper was a plea, 11 Johnson, a plea, 12 Jones was a plea, 13 Jarrell King was a plea, 14 Jesse King is reset to June 9. Ms. Helen is representing him. Position 15, Lane was a plea, 16 McCarthy was a plea, 17 Ragland was a plea, 18 Reams was a plea, 19 Spires was a plea, 20 Taylor Vandenberg was a plea, 21 Trappenburg was a plea, 22 Edward Wagner. Ms. Helen or Mr. Finley, what's the announcement?
Which position, sorry, Your Honor?
This is Edward Wagner, position.
Oh, he was
20
released on May 28th, 2022.
Okay, released for the notice for trial. Charles Williams, position 23, released on May 28th. Oh, here it is. Okay, so this is further notice for trial. Are there any other, oh, well, in our competency calendar, position 2, Alex Browse was a plea. Position 5, Karen Daniels. That's a matter that Mr. Crawford, excuse me, Mr. Murphy and Ms. Crawford had to confer. And those were the only 2 cases that I've addressed in open court on that calendar. So I think we've addressed all the calendars on our SAP, and I'm ready to go into the breakout with Mr. Walker, Mr. Howard, and Ms. Burgess on the competency calendar. So anybody else whose business is concluded, they are free to go.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Please make sure you send all your documents to Ms. Melissa Grace as soon as possible. Thank you.
Will do. Thank you.
Mr. Jordan, if you could, Miss McBrayer, we actually, Miss Upton, excuse me, actually, we're done with all cases, so you're free to go. We don't normally report on the competency calendar. Okay, thank you.
Judge.
Thank you. We